my name is Upasna, aka Acute Bear, and today I'm here to confess.
Hi, my name is Amlan, and I am here to confess.
Confess my love for the place called Nepal.
I can be here 100 times and still not get bored. Every nook, every corner has something to say.
Nepal has two faces. One, the peaceful and tranquil mountain regions, and the other, historically and culturally rich but chaotic cities like Kathmandu.
Mount Everest, the embodiment of the spirit of exploration and the ultimate test of human endurance. Rising over 29,000 feet, it stands as a beacon for climbers, trekkers, and adventurers from every corner of the globe. The journey to its base camp itself is a pilgrimage for many. It can be covered via different routes. The hardest of them all, the 3 passes route. Instead of going straight to the base camp, this path takes you over 3 mighty mountain passes, all close to 18,000 feet in altitude. Spanning more than 17 days, the rugged terrain, unpredictable weather, and nearly 50% oxygen levels at its highest elevations make it one of the most grueling treks in the world. And it all begins in the vibrant, beautiful city of Kathmandu, Nepal.
August is the shoulder season in Nepal's mountaineering calendar. So when Sana and I were going to Everest, most people were actually heading back. It was my second trip there in as many months, and since I had taken this flight before, I already knew how rough it could get. I won't lie, I was a bit nervous. So we boarded the flight, all ready to go, and we were all excited sitting there thinking we're going back there again, And suddenly there's this announcement from the pilot that our flight has been postponed until further notice. Bad weather at Lukla. I mean, it was the shoulder season and the monsoon had already set in, and we were flying to the most dangerous airport in the world. So, what could go wrong?
Lukla Airport connects the Everest region to the rest of the world. Only the smallest planes and most experienced pilots are allowed to operate on this route. What makes this the most dangerous airport in the world is the precariously positioned runway, which sits on the edge of a cliff, leaving very little margin for error. The approach to it is pretty narrow, and the pilot has to maneuver the flight within the narrow channels between the surrounding hills. And the notoriously unpredictable and bad weather on this route makes this journey even riskier, forcing the Lukla airport to close on short notice. Before this airport was built, the journey from Kathmandu to Lukla was treacherous and took a minimum of 3 days. It could only be covered by foot, as the surrounding terrain of the region didn't allow the construction of roads. The airport was completed in 1964 under the supervision of Edmund Hillary, who wanted a faster way to bring supplies for the developmental work he was pursuing in the region. The runway was not even paved till 2001, and planes had to land on a makeshift one. Since then, the airport has served as the gateway to Everest and has played a major role in the boom of commercial mountaineering in the region. It had reduced the time of travel for sure, but the dangerous nature of the journey from Kathmandu to Lukla still had its ugly head intact.
We kept checking the weather in Lukla via a YouTube live stream as we waited for the skies to clear up. Even at noon, the Lukla runway was barely visible. Our chances of reaching there that day looked slim. Of the 4 daily morning flights to Lukla, not a single one took off that day. We had to return back home. It was the same story on day 6 and on day 7. The whole ordeal was quite frustrating. By this time, we had already 3 failed attempts of flying out of Kathmandu. I remember that night having a very long discussion of whether we should continue with this Everest base camp trek or we should pivot to something different like the Annapurna circuit or the Langtang circuit. Back then, it actually seemed logical to drop the plan, but the heart wants what it wants. And we decided to give one last try. With the same vigor, we woke up the next morning and, hoping beyond hope, we made our journey to the Kathmandu airport for one last time. But in reality, nothing had changed. The weather was still pretty bad, the predictions were still bad. Everything was same except one thing. That day, we had booked a helicopter.
Helicopters were a better bet, as they could lift off in worse weather conditions than a conventional 18-seater Dornier, a typical Lukla flight. Safety was still a concern, though, given the history of air disasters in Nepal. It was just 3 months ago, in May, that a flight from Pokhara to Jomsom had crashed due to bad weather, killing all 22 people on board.
So there we were, watching the first helicopter of the day take off right ahead of us. It was going on a recce flight to check if the route ahead was safe. You could really feel the tension at the helipad. Everyone was waiting, and we were right there with them, just as anxious. Finally, after about 40 minutes or so, we got the green light to take off. They only cleared us to fly up to Surke Helipad though, which is about an hour's trek before Lukla actually. But honestly, we absolutely didn't care about where we were landing. We were finally lifting off, and that's all that mattered at the moment.
My heart was pounding, but the second we lifted off, every bit of apprehension just vanished. Even the helicopter's noise faded into the background. From that point onwards, it was just pure silence and the beauty of the journey that lay ahead. We had finally made it to Solukhum. Our mind was at ease. Every worry and concern seemed to have vanished. The past 40 minutes were nothing short of unforgettable, some of the best moments of our lives.
So finally, we made it to Surke, and we are going to start our trek to Phakding today.
Phakding is a small village along the banks of Dudkosi River, and for trekkers, it's usually the first stop on the journey to Everest Base Camp. Sitting at an altitude of about 2,610 meters, Phakding offers a gentle start to the adventure ahead, giving trekkers a chance to acclimatise gradually to the thinner air.
Hello. So, how do you feel after the first stretch of our trek?
Extremely lively.
You look tired.
Yeah, that's what makes you come alive.
She was in high spirits, but she was definitely not in the best of her health. So let's rewind the clock a little bit and let me explain. We had arrived in Kathmandu 8 days ago. As soon as we landed, Sana had come down with a very bad fever. For the first 2 days, her temperature hovered around 103 degrees Fahrenheit. I was concerned about her, but she remained confident and kept herself mentally ready and in the zone. Soon her fever started to subside, and by the third day she was already up and we were exploring the busy streets of Tamil already.
Numerous temples dot the Kathmandu landscape. Locals flock in numbers to their favourite one in the morning, seeking blessings and good fortune for the day ahead. Amongst the most revered is the Buddhanath Stupa, a massive shrine said to house relics of the Buddha. Its towering white dome seems to rise out of the earth, crowned by the eyes of wisdom. The air remains thick with the scent of incense and the hum of spinning prayer wheels. The devotees circle the stupa, murmuring mantras under their breath.
In the Everest region, So much is out of our control, especially things regarding our safety. We're literally at the mercy of the mountains. So, what the trekkers usually do before leaving Kathmandu is they visit a place of worship and pray to the mountain gods. It's like their version of saying, hey, they're coming to your place, please be kind to us and allow safe passage. For us, Bodhanath was that place in Kathmandu. As the sun set in, we came back to Thamel for our one final last-minute supply run. I was feeling much better and ready to go for tomorrow.
Can we not drink this water?
Not sure. Do we have a water purifier?
Himalayan water only.
Maybe if we had a water purifier, maybe we could have had this water, but I don't.
But that's flowing water. I think we can drink it. I must have gone to refill his bottle.
Drinking directly from mountain streams can be one of the most refreshing experiences on a trek. Ideally, one should drink from higher, undisturbed sections of the stream, or use a water filter or purification tablets to avoid potential risks.
My name is Jamjo. We're already Surke to Muse. Already here. We're today going to the Pakting. Maybe 10 minutes later, we're and a little bit eat the soup.
Jamjadai was kind enough to invite us to his home in Muse and offer us some much needed refreshments. When our flights got cancelled 3 times in a row from Kathmandu, Jamjadai had actually come down from Muse to Surke to receive us each time with no complaints and no questions asked. Remember, we are here talking about a giant in mountaineering circles. Jamjadai had actually climbed Everest multiple times along with many other 8,000ers like the Annapurna and Choyu. Yet he was so humble and so down to earth, and this was the man who was going to lead us to the base camp and mentor us along the way. We knew our journey was going to be very invaluable.
We have been trekking for 2.5 hours now, and we have finally caught up with the main route. And we are at Cheplung, Chaurikharka, and another 1 to 2 hours of trekking left.
Last time I was in Cheplung, it was with Ronnie, Tenzing and Pemba. Ronnie is this happy-go-lucky guy, always smiling, with a big explorer's mindset. He was actually fascinated with the stories and myths that surround Everest itself, and he wanted to see it all for himself. And to some extent, that was true for Tenzing and Pemba too. Both were locals in the early 20s, at the start of their mountaineering careers themselves.
Hello and namaste everyone. It's me Tenzing from Songkosaba. It lies in between China and Tibet. My father climbed Mount Everest like 4 times. One time he climbed Mount Everest twice in 3 days. After 2 years later, I'm going to take a asphalt training and then continue my career as a climber. next time you can see me as a climber in Mount Everest. Thank you.
But other people who come here, they usually take demos or they... Both belong to a family of illustrious mountaineers, but they hadn't been to the summit themselves. But they were equally fascinated by it like the rest of us. It's truly a group of these hungry, like-minded young guys, all fun and frolic, but united by a common aim to go all the way to the summit someday. Sana seemed energized after the chai at Jamjudai's place. Despite not being at her physical best, she was attempting one of the most difficult treks in the world in adverse weather conditions. And that gave me the moral boost I needed to push forward.
We hiked for another 2 hours and made it to Phakding in time. And we were left in wonder. If the journey till now had been this good, how good the days ahead could be. And I lie you not, it was the stuff of dreams.